Hi everyone. Today I thought I would do a comparison between alcohol ink doodling and watercolour doodling, because I started doodling on paintings a long time ago with alcohol inks, and then it was a bit later that I started doodling on watercolour, and I really love the effect it gives on both. But I just thought it'd be interesting to do a kind of comparison using the same sort of colours. So I've used a lot of green lately in my videos, so I thought I'd do something a bit brighter maybe. Summer's on its way, so I thought maybe the first two rows of the Kuratake watercolour, or maybe the first 3 rows roughly. And then I found the similar colours in alcohol inks, so I'll just go through the colours that I've got. So I think this says, is that sunflower? No, I think it might be honeycomb. It's like a yellowy colour anyway. Oh, that's sunset orange. And then we've got watermelon, poppy field, flamingo, wild plum, and raspberry. So that's the closest match I could get to these Kuratake colours. Obviously the alcohol ink is going to be a lot more vibrant, but yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting to see what happens. So the paper I'm using for the alcohol ink is Yupo paper, which is a sort of very smooth paper, and then for the watercolour it's just 300 GSM watercolour paper, and they're roughly A5 size, I think, which is about, I think, 8 by 6, I believe, inches. So I'm going to start with the watercolour. First of all, I'm not going to put too much on because I'm not taping it down. I'm just going to put the colours just wherever, really, just not thinking too much about it. Move this in so you can see a bit more. I'm not taping the edges either because the alcohol ink will be quite free flowing. I do like doing this kind of art because you just never really know what you're going to get. There's a bank holiday here today in England, so obviously that means the sun isn't, actually it's not too, the sun's going in and out this morning, but it's very windy. I've just had to go and stand up. We've got a couple of acers in pots in the garden. They keep falling over. They're a bit dry, so they're not very heavy. So it's very windy, but yeah, it's not raining at the moment, so that's always a bonus. Although I do like the rain, actually. What I might do actually is put some salt on here, just for a bit of extra interest. So bear with me, I'm going to get the salt. Here we go. So I think that's about okay. It's quite nice and bright, although it won't be that bright when it's dry, but that's okay. so I'm just going to put some salt on. So I do this sometimes for an extra effect. It just sort of picks up the paints and leaves interesting patterns. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side. So now this is the Yupo paper. Now alcohol inks are even less predictable than watercolour. So this, I don't know if you're familiar with alcohol inks, but this is alcohol blending solution, which you need to blend the inks. And you just drop your colours on. You can use different things to move the ink around. I've done other videos with like an air, what would you call it? Like an air, what's it called? Air blower thing. It's quite fascinating watching the ink do its thing. So this is very red at the moment, so I'm going to have to do something about that, because I don't want it just one colour. But like with watercolour, it's quite easy to change what you do. So what we could do is turn completely red, isn't it? Let's put some, that's quite a lot. Put some blending solution. You can just see, the ink just spreading out. You can create some really interesting effects. It's quite fascinating just watching what it does actually. Another thing you can do is put another sheet of Yupo paper on top, kind of smush it together. That gives interesting effects as well. You can use all sorts of tools actually. You can use stencils with them, little stamper things, yeah, anything really. It's quite interesting if you put like a circular little jar or something and put ink around the edge of it. That's quite cool. So I'm just going to keep playing around with this till I get some patterns that I like. Most of the talking on this video is
as I was painting. This is a voiceover. I know a couple of you have said before that music doesn't really fit well with the video, which is absolutely fine because it takes quite a long time to try and fit in. It just means that there might be a lot of funny noises while I've sped up the video, and I haven't got any talking or music. But if yeah, just let me know if that's preferable to the music. I'll still do some videos with only music and no talking, but I think it is perhaps a bit difficult to combine the two. So yeah, I'll try and do one or the other.
Okay, so I'm back and these are dry. Let's just take the salt off the watercolour. Okay, so you can see the patterns that have been left behind, which I think is really interesting. Okay, so there we go. It's always worth trying different angles to see what kind of things you can see. Most of the time when I'm doodling, it's either flowers or forests or something like that. Sometimes it's a bit more abstracty. At the moment I'm feeling either that way or that way. I quite like that way. I'm sort of seeing larger flowers. The yellow is more in the foreground and pink in the background. Yeah, maybe like that. And then the alcohol ink. So I think this one, I can see a tree trunk here, the bottom of the tree, the roots, the foliage at the top. Then I'm seeing a forest here, trees, and then the foreground flowers. Okay, yeah, maybe that way. Okay, do you know what I was going to do actually? I just remembered. Normally when I do alcohol ink pieces, it's not normally the whole page that is filled, which is why with the watercolour I left a gap around the edge, but for some reason this time the alcohol ink has gone right to the edge, which is fine. I just might take a bit of the edge away, or just lighten it a bit. So I'm just using this sponge, a bit of the blending solution. Not coming off that well now. Oh, maybe I should have left it. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I'm not using the right bit of the sponge, I think that's why. Okay, I'll just lighten it a bit. Okay, I'll leave that for now. Okay, so take this out of the way, a little bit dirty. Okay, so the pens I'm going to use are Posca pens in white, gold and black, I think. I think the white are the same size, 0.7, gold is 0.7. I think this is a bit thicker, 0.9 to 1.3. Okay, I've got a thinner one, but that's nearly run out. But I've got these 2 micron pens. I think one's 0.1, one's 0.1 and 0.5. And then I've just found the colours that are in the painting, which I might use. I'm not sure yet. So let's have a go and see what we come up with. it's about a week and a half later since I started this. Life got in the way, as it does sometimes. I'm just going to do a bit more on this one and then have a look at the watercolour. Sometimes it's hard to know when to stop. I think it's good to leave your work sometimes and come back to it, because sometimes you just see something you hadn't noticed before, and sometimes I just really don't like something and then you leave it for a few days, come back to it and you think actually it's not so bad. I might leave that one for now. Possibly finished. So I'll show you a bit closer. So I really like the vibrancy of the alcohol inks. Okay, so the watercolour then. Right, so same kind of colours. I'm trying to work out what way to do it. I can always see flowers and things in these kind of backgrounds. I think maybe this way I can sort of, yeah, there's a line here, I don't know if you can see it, there's a faint line there. Kind of makes me think of a river, maybe some lily pads or something. Yeah, these could be flowers maybe. Okay, right, I think I'll go with that way. I'm not sure if I said this before, but most of my doodles are always kind of nature based, flowers and forests. I think they're the easiest things to draw actually. I think with this one I'm sticking more with black because the white doesn't show up quite so well. Put a bit of white on top there. I could add some to the darker areas. It's quite hard to find some tree shapes in this one, so I'm not sure if you can see the changing colour too well, but there's very slight change in colour between certain areas. I'm trying to get some tree shapes from, because you need trees in a forest. So I've kind of got another waterfall in this one, just bubbling into the stream. This is a thinner pen, same colour, still black. I just thought that might give it a bit of depth, but I think it's running out. That works a little, that. I think it's important when you're doodling, I like to have the same pattern repeated, otherwise it can look a bit odd. So yeah, I've kind of got another similar flower there. These are the rocks that I've got on both sides, and let's put some gold on that. These kind of grasses, I'll put some more lines down here. And I did say, I think at the beginning, that I was going to leave like a border on the watercolour, because my alcohol ink pictures usually end up with borders, but this one hasn't, and now the watercolour one has. Never mind. I don't think I'm going to use the thick black pen, because I think it'll be too heavy for this one. So I'm going to do a similar kind of foreground, but using the thinner pen. Okay, I think I will leave that one there. Okay, let's just show you that one closer. Okay, so that is two pieces of artwork with doodling. So one with alcohol ink, one with watercolour, using black, white and gold pens. I had a bit of purple on that one, but you can't really see it. So yeah. So two foresty scenes, I suppose. But yeah, very abstracty, aren't they? I just thought it'd be interesting to see or compare the two kind of mediums and do a similar picture. So there we go, give it a go if you would like. These kind of things are quite nice. They're quite can be quite creative. There's no right or wrong. There we go. I shall see you soon.